what they discovered in terms of how the equal sign mindset affects student outcomes. So researchers discovered that students who had a relational view of the equal sign were able to answer more questions and solve more equations correctly on assessments. And that's what this researcher in adult education found out. And this was true. And I always thought this was so interesting, regardless of whether or not the students had had any other formal algebra training. And what was their advice? Their advice was, we encourage teachers to look for opportunities within their existing classroom practices to engage students in conversations about the equal sign, as well as to create such opportunities intentionally. Equal sign activities can be implemented so that they take little time away from an already crowded curriculum as warm-ups, and yet still allow teachers to underscore the relational view of the equal sign. So this is really an important discovery for adult education, because we often think that, okay, students understand the equal sign when they first learn math, when they first enter the primary grades. But research all through middle school, high school, adult education is revealing that, wow, our students really don't have an understanding that the equal sign signals balance. It does not signal and the answer is. And so what instructional routines then can we use that are going to help with that? And we took a look at that earlier. One of them that we can use is the number of the day. And so let's just look at some of the great stuff that you put up here. This tells us, see what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing addition, multiplication, subtraction, I'm seeing words, I'm seeing arrays, I'm seeing division. So this helps us to see that students at all levels can find an entry into this kind of activity. And, you know, because in adult education, if we have open enrollment, we might have a new student on any given day. So we have students who've been in our classroom for 2 months, as well as students who are there for the first time. So a nice warm-up activity like this allows everybody to feel good about participating and dignifies every student that's in your classroom. So now we're going to take a look at, well, before I do that, let's see where we are with time. I would like to ask, we're doing okay. So I'd like to ask, because I've been hearing in some of the other sessions that there's people out there that are using number of the day. So is anyone here using it currently in the classroom? And if you are, how are you using it? How are you benefiting from, and how are your students benefiting from using it?
We've got a shy crew here, I think, Patricia.
Or maybe it's new, which is great.
Okay.
That's
Karen,
great.
it's the first time she's heard of it. It's
then
life-changing.
Then let's talk about how we can use it with our students then. And let's look at an actual example of student work. So this was an example of a Zoom class that I had with students. And I'd like you to just take a look at that for a minute. These are, you know, actual examples of how students responded to the number of the day. And what do you notice about their responses?
Mm-hmm.
It's Kristen. Well, there are a variety of types of equations. I mean, you have addition, you have a fraction plus a whole number, you have an exponent. You have two of them with three, I'm not sure what you call them, three sections. And you have, and the bottom one does not appear to me to be correct.
Uh-huh. So, so here we have three different, as you were pointing out, well, we have two different expressions and then the answer. And then this bottom one, we're saying there's something not right about that bottom one. But I like the observation that that you're seeing all different varieties here of student responses. Okay, so we're seeing a response. I've heard of number of the day, but when I use it, it is executed awkwardly. And I think that students are wondering, what's the value? Let's get to the real math, the GED math. Okay, that's a valid point. So let's talk about how we could use number of the day. Like we see the different kinds of varieties of the number of the day, like what students have done with it. And so sometimes I've used the number of the day as a segue, for example, if I'm going to be doing fractions that day. And my number of the day will be 3/4. And so some students will draw pictures, some students will do equations because they've been in my class longer and they know how to do that. And then other students might say 9 eggs is 3/4 of a dozen eggs. And so again, all students in the class are dignified. Everybody can come up with something for 3/4, just drawing a picture. Frequently, I have had students draw pictures, like if we were doing 3/4, and I can't get this to work. I'm just going to draw a little picture for you. But so they'll just draw like a pie with 3/4 shaded in. And so everyone can participate. And the point of an instructional routine is that it's something that you do every day. And so students get used to the routine, and you can scaffold it so that it becomes more and more challenging depending on what you're working on. So you can have a fraction be a number of the day. You can have conditions for the number of the day. So the number of the day is 9, but you must use an exponent. Or the number of the day is 9, but you must use division. So another thing, let's see, is that the slide that's coming up? Oh, another thing that's great about the number of the day is that it helps to uncover some student misconceptions, like what we see on the bottom. Some Kristen, I believe it was, noted that the bottom response was not correct. And it was because she used a version of the equal sign train, is what I like to call this, where students start a calculation and the equal sign and the answer is, and then they put 6 and then +4, and the answer is 10 minus 1. And they finally got to that 9 at the end, which was the number of the day. But what's the problem with this way of thinking? Like there was some good math thinking going on here with the student, but did this student have an operational view or a relational view of the equal sign? What do we think?
I would say it's operational.
Okay. And why are we saying that?
Well, when she says 3 times 2
Oh, we lost you, Krista. Well, so in order for this to be a true statement, all of these
must be true, and they're not.
would have to be equal. So
Mhm.
this would have to be equal to this, and this would have to be equal to this. So this is an expression, an expression, an expression. All these expressions would need to be equivalent to each other. And so if you give me a thumbs up if you've seen something like this in your classroom, because I know it's a very common thing. And I think what we'll do, because I do have some activities I want to get to, but I do want to touch on something pretty cool that you can do with the number of the day. And whoops, let me get my cursor back. So here is one thing that you can do with the number of the day to help students understand equality and what the equal sign means and balance, is you can take two of the expressions that students create. Remember that there was one simpler one here, a newer student who wrote 3 + 3 + 3. Was that equal to the number of the day? Yes. But is it also equal to this other expression here that this other student did that was a little more complicated? 9 divided by 3 plus 6. Are these two expressions, are they equal? And asking those kinds of questions helps students to think about equality in a different way, because if they're tasked with if is this true or false, they have to kind of think, well, is it true? Is it false? They're not really performing that same and the answer is calculation in their head. They're thinking about relationships. And so true false expressions or questions can be really powerful for students. And also, like in this case, you're taking student generated expressions. You're using the work that they did. The math, it came from the students. So you're using that math to build this understanding of equality. We're going to come back to true false statements in just a bit, but first let's take a look at another tool that's going to help our students to understand equality. And we're going to look at visual models, one visual model in particular. Research has found that when students learn math with visual models, students' math performance improved significantly. So let's take a look at one right now. And I'm going to ask you to, you can either put in the chat or unmute and say what you notice or what you wonder about this visual model.
I think if you want to unmute, I think you can feel free to say something.
I was going to say, this is Karen. I was going to say, I noticed two colors and I wonder why one is longer than the other.
It's Kristen. I noticed that they appear to be balanced. So there must be some kind of, if that's true, the bar seems to be balanced, then these symbols must relate to some mathematical relationship.
Okay, so you're talking about, so you are talking about this here, this bar, Kristen.
Yeah.
That's kind of signaling to you that this side then must be the same somehow as that side.
Right.
That's what you're saying?
Yes.
All right.
Jennifer says, what is the value of a purple diamond versus a pink circle?
So we're thinking, what are the values? What are the
And
values?
Tracy wonders what the diamonds and circles represent.
All right.
Oh, Tashima's got a question for later. She said,
Okay.
put a pin in this. I like that idea of comparing student ideas. How do you handle the class with a mix of operational and relational understanding? That is a great, actually, I have to agree, Tashima. That's a great question for later, because I think when we kind of unpack what we do for the rest of this workshop, that is going to be very relevant. You'll see. We're going to do the fun stuff, some fun interactive stuff.
All right. So you, Tracy was wondering what the diamonds and circles represent. So I'm going to give you some new information. What if the circles represent a 1? What if, let's say, they weigh 1 pound? How would that new information be helpful to us?
I think I can hear some thinking happening.
Well, it's Kristen, then the purple diamonds have to equal something. And just guessing at first, I thought it might be a 2, but when I tested that out, it didn't work. So then I tested it out with 3, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both equal to 17.
You think they're both equal to 17. How did you come to that?
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Well, so if on the right side, if each diamond is equivalent to a 3, like 3 pounds, then you have 1, 2, 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And then you add a 1 for each of the orange dots. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And on the right side, you have 5 diamonds. So if it's worth 3, then that's 15. And then you add 2 more, 15, 16, 17. So the diamond, I would think, equals 3.
All right. Well, oh, that's funny.
Jennifer, I didn't call you out on it. I'm seeing like an orange yellow too.
All right, so let's look. Kristen took that new information and she was thinking that the diamonds equal 3. So because she knew that the circles equaled 1, she could have created actually an equation, and like our students would see on the test, 5 unknowns on one side, 3 unknowns on the other. So we have 5 unknowns on one side plus the 2. We knew that the circle was 2. And on the other side, we've got 3 unknowns, and we have 8 that are equal to 1. Did I count that right? Is it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I did. Okay, cool. I like it when I count things the right way. And so in doing so, if you look at now, our students are going to see equations like this that they have to solve. Definitely, they're going to have to solve for X. Here's a way you can solve for X using a visual model. You see how you can eliminate the weights on the same side that are the same, like you've got 3 diamonds on one side, 3 diamonds on the other side. You just eliminate them. And then 2 circles on one side and 2 circles on the other. You can just eliminate them. And then you're left with this little bit. So you know that 2 diamonds is equal to 6. And since we know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is actually 6 because each of the circles represents 1. That leaves us with what Kristen was able to figure out, which was that it was 3. So now we're going to share a resource with you that you can use with your students that has a whole section that uses this visual model in particular, hanger diagrams. And it comes from Collect Ed New York. And what I've done is I've taken just a mini lesson out of here, and I've put it onto a Jamboard. I created the Jamboard actually for students. And what we're going to do is go into breakout rooms, and we'll be putting the link to the Jamboard in the chat, and you will be able to take a look at the Jamboard, work through the activities. Now, in our classrooms, we would obviously give our students more time. There's only 6 pages to work through. I've got it separated so that in your real classroom, you could use 3 groups of students. And I think we have enough to make 3 groups of people here now.
Like
So
3 to 4.
So that's what we'll do. We're going to create some breakout rooms so we can all.
Can you send the URL in the chat?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do
actually,
that
we're
in
not
just a
using
second.
this particular URL. That URL is what you can copy and use for your students in your class. We're going to put a different one in the chat right now. I think Sherry's going to put
I'm
that in
going
there.
to, all right.
And if you go there,
Mhm.
you should be able to see it. And I might have to stop sharing my screen for a minute in order to be able to create breakout rooms, although I think there's a way to do it this way, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to create some breakout rooms.
So
I
while
could have done it.
Patricia's doing that, you're going to get to this Jamboard that you have the link, and I see that there are quite a few of you in there, seven totally in there right now. And when you get there, you're going to see breakout room number 1. And then as you go through these jams, I don't know how familiar with Jamboard you are. As you kind of go through up at the top, maybe I should share my screen, Patricia. Maybe that's what we should do while you're doing that.
Okay.
Is that all right? Okay,
Yep.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am going to do this. I believe this is the one I want. I'm hoping for the best. Okay, absolutely. So here's the Jamboard. You'll see up at the top, these little things are pages. So as you go through the pages, you'll see you're just simply are turning the page. So page 1, it says breakout room number 1. Page 1, page 2 is different from page 1. Page 3 is different still again. Page 4, page 5, and you'll end up on page 6. Page 7, guess what? It starts all over. So out of 20 slides, there is room for 4 breakout rooms, because that's what Padlet is kind of constructed to do. So in your own classroom, you can put all of your students in the same jam, but when they're working in their breakout room, you can kind of have them breakout room number 2, you're going to start on page 7. Breakout number 3, you're going to start on page 13. And so on and so forth. You're going to have 3 different breakout groups, and breakout room number 3 is going to start on 13. Breakout room number 2 is going to start on 7, and you're going to see 3 different versions of the same thing within the same Jamboard. And you can do things like add a sticky note. So if you don't want to, if you don't know how to type in these boxes, you can add a sticky note. So your sticky note, you can write on a sticky note by clicking over here, add the sticky note. I noticed there's a sticky note here. So that's kind of like a quick demo. If you can't do absolutely anything in here, that sticky note is where I would kind of start. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, so we're going to ask that you approach the activity like, a student would approach it. Think about your student, put your student hat on, and then after you've been taking a look through the activity, you may not get through the whole thing, and that's okay. We're going to ask you to, we're going to give you a broadcast, let you know that that we're about ready to come back, and we're going to ask you to use these conversations to guide, use these questions to guide your conversation. What learning progression or scaffolding do you see in the meeting lesson? And how does the lesson connect to the skills that our students need? So with that, we're going to send everybody into rooms, and Sherry and I will be coming in to see if you have any questions.
It looks like Nikisha may not have been assigned.
You don't have to assign me. I'll stay in the main room.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't assign you because I wasn't
Right.
sure if you wanted to go in a breakout room.
I'll stay in the main room.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go to room 3.
All right, and I will go to, we have a couple people who haven't joined yet.
Yeah. Maybe they're not interested.
Oh, do you
Okay.
need me to go in the rooms? It's only 2. It's 3 groups, and it's only 3 of us. Do you need me to go in one?
That's okay. I think, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go to room 2 because someone did not join the breakout. So I'm going to go to room 2 to act as a third person.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, if you would like
Which
to
one do you
go.
go? Which one are you going to? I go to the other one.
Okay, so do you want to go to room 1?
Okay.
Since
All right.
Okay.
So welcome back, everyone.
I don't know, Patricia, that we actually got to talk about the teacher hat, about the learning progressions or scaffolding,
Mhm.
or the skills that our students need. I don't know if the groups really quite got there yet.
Yeah, we may not have had enough time to get through through the activity itself. Does everybody feel like they want to have some more time to go back in and look at it? I can reopen the breakout rooms.
And again, everyone is going to get the copy of this at the end.
Mhm.
And you're going to be able to have this to do with your students and to get them to try it out and see how.
Actually, I do have an idea. How about, no, that's not it. How about I do this? I will share the screen and we're going to kind of look at the progression or the scaffolding that we see. So we started here just looking at shapes, kind of similar to what we did in the beginning. And then we moved to, okay, well, suppose the shape has a value. What does that mean for the other shape? And we started to answer true false questions based on the shape. And did anybody else get to screen 4?
Yeah, our group did.
I
Uh-huh.
think it's on number, what is it, 18? 8, possibly 8, 12. I'm sorry, I don't know.
All right, let's look. Whoops.
Yeah, you can keep going.
Keep going. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So then you see another progression where you figured out the value of W. How did you figure this out? What did you do?
Well, we used your method that you showed us. We canceled out the one from the left side to the right side. And then that left us with a W on the left side and 3 on the right side. So that would mean that the W is equal to 3.
Mm-hmm. And then you found an equation that matched the hanger diagram.
Right.
So I'd like to focus in on this for a minute, because when our students are taking the GED exam, do they necessarily always have to come up with this value? When they're being asked a question, do they have to answer a question? Or do they have to figure out which is the right equation or expression? A lot of the questions that are on the GED exam in math are not actually asking students to solve something. They're asking them which is the correct equation that matches this particular situation. So right now we're matching it to a hanger diagram, which can then bridge to higher levels of understanding when it comes to choosing the equation that goes with whatever it is that the test is asking them. And so here, did anyone get to this one?
We did not. Room 2.
So if we were to write a matching equation for this, what might it be?
Five y plus 7 equals 47.
5y plus 7 equals 47.
You have 57.
I have 57.
No, you meant.
Oh, 5y. 57. 5y. Okay, the sticky note didn't work very well with that. So I could do 5y plus 7 equals 47. So what do we think about that? Does everybody agree with that? Or did anybody come up with something different?
Mm-mm. I
Right.
agree.
One other possibility, and some students might do y plus y
Mhm.
plus plus y plus y equals 47.
Or
Is
plus 7, plus 7.
plus 7. Oh, thank you. Plus 7. Can I get back in there?
Mhm.
Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, it's another way to represent it.
Mhm.
And this could be if one student does do it like this can be a bridge to combining like terms.
Mhm.
So one other thing students could do would be draw a hanger diagram for this equation. So let's see. I have something for us to do. I just have to change something. I'm going to have us all think about creating a hanger diagram for that last equation there. And so let me get that ready for you. Almost there. Okay. So let me save this and put this here. Oh, that's pretty small. All right. Well, I'm going to send you all to, I'm going to put this in the chat. Uh, 3y plus 4, okay. And if you look at the screen right now, we are going to go to a different Padlet.
Did you send it in the chat? I don't see it.
I just
Oh,
put it
I'm
in.
sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
Yes.
okay. That's right. It was thinking.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was thinking.
And so this is the last page, since we didn't get to the last page. How about we go to this Padlet and create a hanger diagram for that equation. And so you can do that with the directions that Sherry gave you before. Maybe she can walk you through that again.
Did you want to do it in Padlet?
Yeah,
Okay.
because then everybody has a chance to do it instead of just like one person in the breakout room.
I'm just not sure how I would draw it.
Mm-mm.
Well, should we go back in the breakout rooms then? Would that be easier?
So you don't have an external device. Let's flesh this out a little. if you don't have an external device in Padlet, how could you do it? You're not going to be able to use a picture, but I believe you could do a sticky note in Padlet. You can do drawing in Padlet.
Ah,
Yeah, you can do a drawing in Padlet. I'm going to try it.
I have a question. Are we in Padlet or are we in Jamboard? And I'm having a real hard time editing.
Yeah, so you know what? I was gonna ask you to go to Padlet because we had prepared something in the Padlet, but let's forget about that. Go
Well,
back to the Jamboard that you were in before and draw a hanger diagram for the equation that is on the last page. And so you should be seeing that right now. 3y plus 4 equals 25. So what's on the screen right now? You can go into Padlet and whoever wants to can put a hanger diagram in there. So on whichever group that you were in, I see somebody going here on this page. And
No shapes. I mean, you can go ahead and kind of use it on your own personal copy. And if someone was sharing and you were in a group, it's nothing to worry about. It's really just giving you a little bit of just a trial of how you would do this with your classroom, or how you could even do the whole Jamboard thing. Brittany says she can't use Jamboard, and you might find that with some of your students. So Brittany, go on over to the Padlet, and you can generally, if you see on Patricia's screen somebody's using triangles, you can go to the Jamboard and you can do similar. So if you click on the plus sign and the 3 dots, the dot dot dot, there is an option to do drawing, and there's an option to do different colors. And I'm going to try to do something really fast. I'm not a good drawer without any utensils to use, so I'm going to try my best. And it was 3y, right?
you know what? I see that we're coming up to time here. So I think we might have to go back. Oh, equals 25. I forgot to put the equals 25. I think we might have to go back to our presentation, and we had some good questions about using Jamboard in the one room. For example, like how many students would be optimal to have in a breakout room. And it really depends on your knowledge of your students. So you might want to only put 2 students in. You might find that 3 students is a good combination, maybe 4. Probably more than 4 might be a little bit too much. And it doesn't necessarily matter if some students are ahead of other students in their math journey, because that's the time when they learn from each other. So students working together is, and being able to talk about their ideas, because sometimes it's those new students, the ones who've only been in your class for a day or two, who come up with maybe some concrete idea to look at something differently than you did. So using hanger diagrams, how are they helpful? They represent the concept of balance and equality. They visually demonstrate the rule. What you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. So a lot of times we teach students that rule, but they don't really understand what it means conceptually. The visual model directly follows the steps of that algorithm, but it adds a conceptual, intuitive foundation for students. So canceling out, like Kristen was mentioning, helps us to gain that conceptual understanding. And the idea of this balance is essential to solve algebra problems on the tests that our students need to take. Students may have different ways to see the rule, and that's okay. But having students share their different ways of seeing really builds community and it deepens their understanding. So some more ways you can use hanger diagrams in addition to the one resource that we shared with you is Solve Me Mobiles. This is a great resource for your students. It can be used for giving students individual work, homework. You could have students work in groups. Students can create their own mobiles. There's mobiles here, like you could go in and assign students, for example, take them and send them into groups, either in person or in breakout rooms and say, I want you to solve mobile 2, the numbers 1, 2, and 3 together and talk about it.
I'm sorry, so what are we supposed to be looking at right now? Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry, I just switched to that so that you can see what Patricia's talking about. Patricia, you had something different on your screen, but this is where she's talking about. So these are selfie mobiles that she was talking about. So I'm sorry, Patricia,
That's
I
okay.
grabbed the screen from you so as not to interrupt you. So sorry.
No, no, no.
This
Thank
is
you.
not a perfect system. So sorry.
No, thank you. And so you can use this with your students. We're giving you links to all of this. And if we go to the next slide. Also, there's some activities in Desmos with hanger diagrams, and we're going to give you all of the links to those as well. And then the next slide, you will have the links to all of the workshop resources for today, which are going to give you lots of opportunities to use hanger diagrams with your students. That one link that Sherry just put in the chat gives you everything that we looked at today and more. And more. It gives you research, all the links to the Desmos activities, links to Jamboard that you can use with your students. So in closing, because it's 3:15 and I have to hand this over to our NYACCE host. Thank you everybody for coming. Encourage you to look at these resources and think about equality. I challenge you to, first of all, find out if your students know about equality. Like, have them just answer this simple question and see what they come up with. Do they come up with 7 or 12 or 17 or 9? And then work on equality with your students. So if there's any, I'm going to turn it over to our NYACCE host first, and because I know she has something to say.
Maybe she doesn't.
Oh, is she not here anymore?
I don't. Yes, she is. So Nikisha, right?
Yeah.
Don't know if she's listening.
All right.
But
Hi, I'm here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Great presentation. Hi everyone. So just be sure that once we log out of here, you're going to complete the evaluation, the survey about this workshop. Can't see if they're still here. Yep, they're still here. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much, Patricia and Sherry.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions, I don't know how long the stream will be open, or you can just reach out to me personally, and I would be happy to talk about hanger diagrams. And also, I am the editor of the newsletter, and I'd love to know if you do any of
You
these
saw, so because you kept
activities.
saying like you didn't see her.
Oh, no. Not when she was in the bubble. When I was asking her specifically, hey, if you have any questions, any suggestions.
Are they talking to us?
I'm not sure.
Sorry, I'm on another call. Sorry.
Oh, that's
Oh.
okay. That's okay.
I'm gonna
s-
share that information.
yeah.
This is Patricia's contact information. Go ahead, Patricia, to talk about AM.
Well, I am the editor of a newsletter, and if you do any of these great activities with your students, please reach out to me and let me know how it went. And maybe a story of how things went in your classroom with your students using hanger diagrams might show up in our national newsletter. So I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for coming to our workshop today.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for bearing with our technology adventures.
Yeah.
It was great. And I learned something new. I didn't know that you could draw in Padlet. So that was
Oh.
interesting to figure out. Thank you.
It's not easy. If you have an iPad, I think that's ideal. If
Okay.
you are on a computer with a mouse, forget it. And I'm even worse. I could do it. I don't do well with drawing at all.
Okay.
But with an iPad, I think it might be better. Might be a little easier. Even a phone, because you can draw with the stylus or your finger. But we're all learning one piece at a time.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and I'm glad I came. So
Yeah, it was good to hear your voice, Kristen.
thank you. I really enjoyed the presentation a lot. Patricia, you did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
All righty. Well, I think I will head out then here. So have a great weekend, everybody.
You too. Thanks for
You
coming.
too. Bye,
Bye.
Kristen.
Bye-bye.
So you couldn't see my screen, huh?
No, so that's why I kind of didn't want to interrupt you, and I grabbed it.
So you can't see it now?
I can now, but the screen that you had was the one that had the Padlet problem. So you were sharing
Oh.
that screen,
Oh,
a little strip that you had
that's
posted in Padlet.
interesting. Because I was seeing the presentation.
Interesting. I don't
Huh.
know. Don't know. I didn't want to interrupt you, and that's what made me grab it. I didn't want
Yeah,
to,
no, thank you.
because it was perfect.
That's why
was
it's good
good.
to have a
It's very good.
co-host.
See that? That was great.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, maybe not this circle.
I wish you'd had enough time to
Yeah,
share
we
everybody's.
usually have plenty of time. I guess you had big plans as usual.
Oh, look at this. Whoa. Blue background.
That is really something.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like they didn't quite finish, but I thought it was really good. Good stuff. Good stuff. So ours is over at 3:15, so 3:30. Yeah, Jennifer had some trouble. She did like the idea of assigning different pages to different students, because some students might just rush ahead and do all the problems on a page. So
Mm-hmm.
if you keep them on a slide, they can kind of take it one at a time. That was good. Very good. Good one. I'm going to stop the record.